Hello, my name's Simon Gray. I'm a qualified accountant, career coach and the author of 3 books, including Super Secrets of the Successful Job Seeker, published by Harriman House. Nick gave a brief introduction in the previous video, and we actually have quite a lot in common. Like Nick, I started my career in practice, but really didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That was 20 years ago now, and could be very similar to the position you find yourself in today. Having worked hard at my studies to gain a professional accounting qualification, it was time to put my hard work and newfound knowledge to good use. I knew I had skills and experience to benefit an employer. I had the ambition for a great career with the earning potential to have financial security and a fantastic quality of life. But with all this potential and a hunger for success, there was one problem. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and even if I had known, I'd have had no clue how to get it. You could say I was lost in a sea of opportunity, but with no clarity of where to set sail or how to navigate. The crossroads Nick talked about in the previous video were all around me, but I couldn't see them. Even if they had been visible to me, I had no idea how to make the best decision on which path to take for me and my future. I therefore fell into the recruitment industry by accident, and specifically financial recruitment. And having registered with an agency to help me find a job in industry, they, thinking I'd be quite good at sales, offered me a job working for them instead. And for the next 10 years of my life, I specialised in advising accountants and finance professionals on career moves and placing them in both practice and industry roles. I did this first as a consultant, then as founding director of my own financial recruitment company. Nick talked about his ambition to become an entrepreneur and run his own business, and I guess I had a similar aspiration because in 2008, just before the financial crisis hit, I left the safety of employment and a salary to start my own recruitment company. Perhaps not the best timing, but hindsight is a wonderful thing. And despite the challenges the market presented, I was committed and along with my business partners persevered to create and grow a business which is still going strong today. And our success boiled down to a clear focus on what we wanted to achieve, and also because we chose to think differently about the circumstances we found ourselves in. Instead of being a victim of market conditions, irrespective of what was going on around us, we decided to create opportunities and be the best that we could be. If I'm honest, moving into the recruitment space wasn't a proactive decision, it was purely reactive. I was attracted by the opportunity to earn bonuses, and because the majority of recruiters I knew seemed to drive nice cars. Despite hating the first few months of my new career, more by luck than judgment, I began to enjoy it and found that I had a natural talent for recruiting. I was lucky because over the years I've seen many situations where people have made the wrong career decisions for the wrong reasons. At a crossroads in their lives, they've taken a wrong turn and then struggled to get back on track. In my experience, the problem or challenge is twofold. First, people rarely take a step back to consider what they really want to do. They don't ask themselves the right questions to make the right decision about what next. Second, they are limited by and react to opportunities that are visibly advertised. But this is a mistake, as not all jobs are advertised or promoted by recruitment companies. As Nick mentioned in the opening video, there is a place called the hidden market, where a multitude of career opportunities exist that the majority tend to miss. In this video, I'm going to explain why the hidden market exists and how to position yourself in it to stand out and get hired. In the next video, I'll then talk in some detail about how to decide what it is you really want to do and ask the questions you need to ask yourself to make the right decision. Before we get into the hidden markets, having now left the recruitment industry, I should probably explain what I'm currently doing. After over 10 years in the recruitment business, I left my own business to form Career Codex. And the idea for Career Codex came about due to the success of my first book, which helped candidates I was unable to place as a recruiter find their own positions. In it, I shared some of my insider tips on how to navigate the job market successfully and be the one who gets hired. My time in recruitment had taught me how the job market really works, how employers make recruitment decisions, and the challenges candidates face on a day-to-day basis. I created Career Codex to help others help themselves without the need to rely on third parties in the form of job boards or recruitment companies. And I now work with clients from across the world to help them define, find and secure the positions they really want. If you'd like to read some of the stories and recommendations, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. My username is Simon Gray ACA, or please visit my website at careercodex.com. Last year I spoke at the Accountex conference at Excel London, where I shared advice on using LinkedIn to build a personal brand. I've also spoken at the ICAEW Financial Controllers and CFO conferences, where I gave advice not only how to stand out in the job market, but how to do this specifically as a finance professional. The methodology I've developed empowers people to take proactive control of their job searches and unlock and sometimes even create career opportunities in the hidden market. And there's that word again, the hidden market. So what does it really mean and why does it matter? Well, the hidden market exists because of how employers make decisions. Although it's natural to think of employers as organisations or institutions, it's the people within them who drive any recruitment process. And these people often find the recruitment process painful, and what's more, it takes time. They find the recruitment process a distraction from running their businesses, and aside from larger organisations with dedicated resourcing teams, often have limited experience in how to hire successfully. When we as consumers purchase a new computer or washing machine, let's say, we're buying a standardised product that comes off a production line. It's been rigorously tested and usually comes with a guarantee in case something goes wrong. But when it comes to hiring, people are completely unique. There is no such thing as a standardised person, and people rarely come with a money-back guarantee. The employer, therefore, can never be 100% sure they're making the right hiring decision. This adds in another complication for the employer: uncertainty. Pain plus time plus uncertainty can mean one big headache for an employer in trying to hire, not to mention the cost. And cost has two dimensions: the cost of advertising on job boards or fees employers pay to a recruitment firm, and also the opportunity cost of time they'll never get back, which employers need to dedicate to running a successful recruitment process. As a recruiter, I quickly learned that when an employer needed to hire, I was rarely their first point of call. Instead of picking up the phone to me first, they often had conversations closer to home to try and find the person they were looking for. I spoke to Nick about this, and he confirmed that in needing to hire, his first thought would be, who do I know that's appropriate? What's especially interesting is that Nick's first thought was not which job board should I advertise my position on, or which recruitment company am I best picking up the phone to. Instead, Nick thought about who he knew that might be appropriate. If he'd met someone in the past, this person could potentially be a quick fix to his recruitment problem and the right fit for his business. But if no one immediately sprung to mind, Nick, like most employers, would likely embark on a series of conversations. The first conversation Nick is likely to have is with his peer group. These are his close circle of associates, which include his friends and long-standing business associates who have become friends. They are people Nick knows and trusts. He'll ask them who they know that they can recommend that might be right for his business. Nick will have a number of conversations like this, and once his personal and trusted network is exhausted, he'll move on to conversation 2. In conversation 2, Nick now talks to his professional advisors, suppliers and other business contacts. They're not quite in the inner circle, they're not friends or business associates who have become friends, but nonetheless they are people he respects and trusts. He now asks this group who they know and who they can potentially recommend. If he gets nowhere, he moves on to conversation 3. Finally, if conversations 1 and 2 have failed to deliver a result, Nick talks to a job board about placing an advert or to a professional recruitment company in his sector. These conversations happen all the time, every day of the week, in all industries and at all levels. But most job seekers only put themselves in the position to be picked up by conversation 3. If you think of the conversations as ponds, then pond 3 is the biggest and the most overcrowded. And if you're serious about your career and want to maximise your chances of success, you can't afford just to swim in this pond. Ponds 1 and 2 are smaller, there's less competition, and here is exactly where most employers would prefer to fish. Not in pond 3, because this costs them money to advertise, or in the form of recruitment fees. What's more, ponds 1 and 2 come with an implicit recommendation, because the individual being recommended is known by the person making the recommendation. The success of the placement is not left to chance, as the candidate is more tried and tested. It's conversations 1 and 2, or ponds 1 and 2, that I've illustrated here that form the hidden market. I'm not advising that you ignore pond 3, but don't rely on it solely. Understanding the existence of the hidden market gives you access to more opportunities with less competition, and as such a higher probability of success. In the hidden market, you not only uncover opportunities earlier, but with the right value proposition to an employer, it's actually possible to create an opportunity that the employer has not yet thought of hiring. They're not yet tied up in the rigidity of a job specification, and if your proposition makes sense, it could open the door to a new opportunity they create specifically for you. One of my private coaching clients did this not so long ago. Jeff, after many years in one sector, was ready to make a change. He'd worked in a large public sector organisation and now wanted to take his skills to a smaller private sector company. He wanted more autonomy and to gain more commercial experience on the front line of a growing business. Jeff also felt that making a change would broaden his skill set and enhance his value and earning potential in the market for any future move. Ultimately, he also had an ambition to one day run his own business, something both Nick and I share too. And making a transition to a smaller business in a more hands-on role would move him closer to this. Changing sector or size of organisation is always difficult. As a recruiter, if I was appointed by a large financial services company, let's say, to recruit a financial controller, I would usually prefer to shortlist candidates from another large financial services company. There was a perceived reduced risk of things going wrong, that the candidate would be able to hit the ground running, and more chance of making the placement. Jeff had some excellent skills and experience, very relevant to the position he was looking to find, but because commercial experience in a smaller business wasn't evidenced on his CV, he'd been overlooked time and time again by recruiters and had not heard back on jobs he'd applied to on job boards. He was frustrated, confused, and not sure why the door to the career opportunity he knew he was more than capable of doing simply refused to open. As we worked together and Jeff developed an understanding of the hidden market and how to position himself in it, he took proactive control of his own situation. He approached a number of SMEs, highlighting the value of his network and his ability to open doors. One of the companies he approached created a position for him in a business development role to take advantage of all he had to offer. Through taking a new and more informed approach, I watched him grow in confidence. And this confidence, combined with new job search skills, led to Jeff taking more action and ultimately receiving 3 job offers from companies that were not actively out in the market recruiting. Through the strategies I taught him, Jeff was able to decide on the best opportunity for him to accept and to negotiate the best salary package possible. One of the questions I get asked a lot is what to do if organisations have standardised recruitment processes, which many large and public sector organisations do have. The hidden market is about your initial approach and getting on the radar of the senior decision maker, typically the CEO or CFO, who is usually a completely different person to the one running the recruitment process, which is often the responsibility of HR. The power of this initial approach can lead to what I call a top-down referral, where the CEO or CFO asks HR to make sure you're on their shortlist. Until you're in a standardised process, you're free to approach an organisation how and when you want, which counts for a lot. Even when you're in a standardised recruitment process, a good interview is about creating a conversation. And one of the things I teach my clients is how to take proactive control of any interview situation. This gives you more confidence, the opportunity to provide a better account of yourself, and a much higher probability of influencing a favourable outcome. The advantages of you positioning yourself in the hidden market should hopefully now be obvious, but it's something people can and often find incredibly difficult to access. The reality is, though, that with the right approach, it's not that difficult at all. Success begins by clearly defining the type of organisation you want to work for, which starts with asking yourself the right questions, which I'll come onto in the next video. Even if you're already clear about the move you want to make, you may be struggling to find it because you're looking in the wrong place and in the wrong way. What if the position you want isn't advertised? Does that mean it doesn't exist? No, it doesn't, but for the majority of people, that's exactly what they make it mean. If you're on the radar of employers you're interested in working for, even if they're not hiring at the current time, when they are, as Nick's comment demonstrated, there's a strong possibility you could be thought of first when they ask themselves the question, who do I know that's appropriate? Even if the position you want is advertised, relying on the CV sift, no matter how relevant your skills and experience, doesn't guarantee you'll be shortlisted. In competition with everyone else, whether you get selected for interview is not in your control. It's a game of chance. With more applicants for every position, it's easy to get missed if you choose to play the game in the same way as everybody else. The solution and the secret to your success is to start looking in the hidden market, which is the place where career opportunities often exist before ever being advertised on job boards or by recruitment companies. These are high probability opportunities because others as yet are unaware of them. So why does the hidden market put you ahead of others? Well, firstly, you position yourself ahead of the market, and in doing so reduce your competition, as you may be considered in advance and remove employers' need to go out to the wider market. Secondly, employers feel they know a little bit about you already when deciding on who to interview. You're already on their radar, whereas others are complete unknowns. Thirdly, you've already shown you're keen, enthusiastic and courageous because you've taken a different approach. You've shown you're different from the norm by being proactive, and as a result you stand out from the crowd. Next, there may be roles that aren't on job boards or positioned by recruiters that you might be considered for. And also there's a possibility an employer might create a role for you, like with Jeff, because they see you and add value. Finally, even if an employer isn't currently recruiting, you're first in mind for a new role when it comes up. In the hidden market, you're not in the CV race with everyone else. You're at a distinct advantage, and what's more, you're in proactive control of your career and future every step of the way. This makes for a rewarding and fulfilling experience where you give yourself the best opportunity to stand out and get hired. Join me in the next video where I'll talk more about getting clear on what you really want and why this is so important to find success.